live. This is the market update. This is why the market update exists. I am your host, Bill Noble. 7:34 Central Time, June 22nd, in case we have to go more than once. So, why is crypto down? That's obvious. How far will crypto go down? That may not be obvious. We'll discuss that. Oil and stonks. Oil up, stonks down, most likely. Their denial is over. And I think we're headed for the max fear point. We're not there yet, but at max fear, believe it or not, crypto is probably a buy. We'll go into how that's going to unfold. Michael Saylor's involved. I think that's a key component. And we will break down the geopolitical circus. And I literally think, starting with Elon Musk, this is a circus. We'll start with that. We'll go to the Strait of Hormuz. We'll go back to crypto. We're going to look at ETH. We're going to look at tactical charts. So just so you know what's coming up, we're going to look at the tactical charts, DeMark charts, and then I have a scenario for what happens if, all what breaks loose, right? That scenario does exist for anybody who might have to adjust positions. Now, that said, I got to be honest with you. I got to tell you, I'll do my little Nick impression. You go to collections on Patreon. The link is down below. You click Platinum Research, right? 99K, Cuban Missile Crisis. So we kind of had everybody looking to get long post-summer solstice. Heidi-ho, here we are. Okay, and of course, you may also have missed Miss Tobie Ward, who has yet another surprise for everybody. We'll go over that later. Are crypto investors ready for the golden dip buying opportunity? And in this stream, we discussed oil and her prediction for oil, and you should probably check that out. Now, let's get started by welcoming who is here. Willimeter, what's up, dude? Thank you for the super chat. What's up? I am so not playing around today. We are going to rock this thing. Tyler, Jav, a member, welcome. Bull Runner, Thomas Chai, Sefro, what's up? From Australia, GF, Hal Lopez, Zapadas, right? BRC. We need common sense. McAfee 2028. Everybody thinks I'm kidding about that. I'm so not. Moon Sector 7, who's been with us for 6 months. Wrong again. Brick Dreams. Hans is all in from Holland. What's up? Gimme a kitty. Love you, man. Right. 5-Wave Validator. Look at gold. Charlie the Positive Cat from the Antivirus Universe. Welcome. Forget about it. Willimeter. Joey V. Crypto is a disaster. Lee J says, Bill, I'm wrecked. Okay. Yeah, small caps getting destroyed. However, you have to ask yourself, people who bought Bitcoin, they would buy it at the max fear point. We got you prepped. We got you ready. Even though, YouTube suppressed all the content, I think we're going to get you ready. Ronnie, A1, right? Patriot Caveman in the house, a member. What's going on? Don't forget, members with the $4.99 plan get priority on comments. And for goodness sake, people, hit the like button. Like, I get 120. God bless all of you. I got to get 200. And everyone on the stream has got to subscribe to the channel. We were up early to give you some love, so you didn't have to filter through Twitter. Let's go. Okay. We love you guys. Okay. NFA, let's go. Now, Kyle Bass, probably the biggest hedge fund in Texas for sure, and one of the big hedge fund guys, period, says, welcome to the weekend where we will send a nuclear program back decades. Syrian airspace is wide open. Iranian air defenses. Isn't it funny how hedge funds knew about this in advance? Seen that firsthand, by the way. They know everything before everyone else does. So I gave him a hard time about being short government bonds, and he gave me a hard time that I was too cynical. Just kidding, right? Look, this is how you know it's a circus. T-Bone in the house. You know it's a circus, right? So here's how we started. I'm coming off the screen share. I'm gonna lay it down for you. Here's how this unfolds. Ready? Okay, the first thing is we have a fake fight between Elon and Trump. Remember that? So tech bros getting all wound up. The false flag was the big, beautiful bill with its gigantic $2 trillion deficit. That was the false flag that got everyone distracted while they queued this up. Then the intelligence community put bricks everywhere in LA, and we had ourselves a big show, big riots. It's a shame. Cops versus rioters. And then when everyone was talking about the U.S. Civil War, boom, BB executes a pre-planned, pre-programmed, as one geopolitical commentator put it, pre-programmed. They start off as the bad guy. Then the orange man deploys everything, and then he says 2 weeks, and then drops on them. He drops bunker buster bombs. He did not go nuclear, thank God. I haven't heard anything about radiation damage. If you hit a nuclear reactor, you have Chernobyl Part 2. There's no sign of that whatsoever. So kaboom, kaboom, play around and find out that Chinese cargo plane that landed in Iran 2-3 days ago that you heard nothing about. Yeah, that's probably full of money. Full of money for the Iranians to just, you know what? Don't close the Strait of Hormuz. That's our oil. Now, that will not be the trade Sunday and Monday. Most likely people will get hysterical. And there always is the risk that the Iranians just go, you know what? We're gonna be martyrs and we're just going to launch on everybody. And that's possible. However, I don't hear anybody talking about this being like World Wrestling Federation from the beginning. I mean, does the orange man really want gas at $10 a gallon going into July 4th? Really? We need a stock market crash and gas at $10 a gallon for July 4th. Okay. So, scary? Yes. Will oil go up? Probably. Will stonks get wrecked? Probably, which is what crypto's always afraid of, right? Crypto's the canary in the coal mine. But if crypto gets wrecked, which it might, can't say it won't, which it might, I just think it's the buy of the century because everyone is panicking, just like the Cuban Missile Crisis, which again, like I said, Patreon Platinum, right? What's the max fear? 12, 13-day crisis. What's max fear? Max fear is right at the end. And then if it stops, markets go straight up. But markets are hysterical right before it stops, just like the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, that deal was done at the absolute last minute. That everybody's finger was on the button. Like they thought there was a coup in Russia. They didn't know who was in charge. They had missiles in Cuba. Like literally, they had missiles queued up on launchers in Cuba, 90 miles off Florida. And we're all wound up because somebody in the Middle East has got some plutonium or uranium or whatever. Okay, so like I said, we're all going to sell crypto on this? No. Could it go down a lot? Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, is this a government circus that could get out of control? Yeah, it could. This could spill over into treasuries. This could get super messy, and I'm sure you're going to hear about that all day. But what you're not going to hear about is that it's like the Cuban Missile Crisis, is that there could be a max fear point where you have to close your eyes, and it's hard. It could be Bitcoin 99. Michael Saylor is going to buy, and every time Michael Saylor buys, it goes down 10%. Everybody's saying, oh, look at Bitcoin. Isn't this wonderful? It is wonderful. Right up until they try to smack it. Because don't celebrate relative outperformance in the middle of a debacle. Okay. That's my Nick F imitation. Okay, so we have the Pentagon here. We have Pete, stylish defense secretary, the man in blue telling you about how good his aircraft did, and we got everything on this blackboard except radiation leakage, right? If it was a Chernobyl, you'd know about it. It's not a Chernobyl. They dropped 6. They didn't need 6. They needed 1 or 2, right? Right on the reactor. They didn't do that, supposedly, right? You haven't heard about it because I think you would have heard about it because the Iranians would have launched everything at us and the Houthis too. So we dropped everything on everything, right? The Chinese give them some money. Okay, this is where I got the idea that this might be a circus and might end like the Cuban Missile Crisis. Not sure why it's so difficult to understand that no U.S. administration is willing to make any move in general unless they believe it's bullish for markets. I'm sorry for all the World War III hopefuls and fear engagement farmers, but the Middle East crisis just ended. Now, of course, this is another hedge fund guy, smaller guy, super edgy on Twitter. Super edgy. Antivirus guy, by the way. Okay, so again, if it's a contrived circus, everyone knows about it. Most likely, that includes the Iranians. That includes them, right? Chinese send them money to rebuild. This will all be rebuilt. They already know how to make the bombs. We were just making a point, I guess. Trump had to pay the donors. That's that simple, right? Congress has to pay the donors. It's that simple. And after they pay the donors, well, okay. We'll see you in 3 or 4 years when, you've rebuilt. U.S. military action will be short-lived. Trump doesn't want gas above $4. Of course he doesn't. Of course he doesn't, right? It's like they would have to really do some damage for the orange man to unload and have $10 gas for July 4th. He has $10 gas for July 4th. He could wind up getting impeached over this because I don't know if you notice, in the United States, you're not supposed to go to war without some vote from Congress. Technically, you're supposed to declare war on somebody. Most of the time, what they do is just pass a permission slip. There was none of that, which just goes to show that everyone has to pay the donors. Not to mention the orange man sending a message to Eastern Europe that says, I don't need congressional authorization to launch on you. I'll launch on you if I feel like it, which is a very powerful message and, frankly, very orange man. Now, we don't know if it's going to blow up in his face. Everybody thought that with the tariffs, and that didn't happen. Okay, that said, we're not at max fear yet. Okay, it's a spectacular military success. The bully has been completely obliterated. Yeah, this reminds me of a famous George Bush speech on an aircraft carrier. Mission accomplished. Right. Then we had to fight hardcore jihadists for 2 more years to get them cleaned out. Like Navy SEALs. Like every big Navy SEAL book is all about, them fighting after victory was declared. No cheering, please. Just no cheering. Take his phone away. Okay, so we even had decoys, right? We had B-2 bombers headed for Asia, supposedly, or the Pacific, where you had 2 Chinese aircraft carriers, supposedly. Meanwhile, everything was headed to the Middle East. Like I said, supposedly this whole thing was rehearsed. They've been doing it via exercises. It did include from start to finish. Israel starts it, we finish it. Okay. Again, sovereigns. Yeah. Do they have your interest at heart? Who exactly are they paying here? Not you. And if the Iranians lose their mind, you're going to draft Gen Z to go do this? Excuse me. I just threw up in my mouth a little. Okay. So actually, honestly, the Iranians respond. They launch, these things at Israel, not us. Interesting. All right. More contrarian sentiment. MAGA is dead. Everything MAGA people voted for has been betrayed by the orange man. It's over. Okay. I know they said that about the tariffs. It's not declare victory and leave, and it's not over. It's not, because it was a show. Now, again, it can get out of control, but all these people who are dissing the orange man might be shocked if they find out it was a show and they don't want gas at $10 for July 4th. Okay, so make no mistake about it, about who has massive influence on American politics. You know, JD Vance, like right when he gets nominated vice president, immediately started talking about Iran. I mean, you know, like that guy said, it was pre-programmed, rehearsed. Everyone's like, oh my God, we're insane. We're headed for this. No, dude. This was announced. I wouldn't doubt if the Chinese and the Russians knew about it. I'm like, guys, look, we're gonna go do some World Wrestling Federation. We're gonna shoot at the Iranians. The Iranians want to keep all their stuff. They don't want to be annihilated. They can keep all their stuff. Meanwhile, back at the left ranch in the United States, and this, I mean, if this is not a commercial for crypto, I don't know what is. The president's disastrous decision to bomb without authorization is a grave violation of the Constitution. Wow, the left is interested in the Constitution. What do you know? The far left and the far right get together. Who said that? She must watch the show. He was impulsively risking, and it's absolutely clear that he should be impeached. Okay. Well, she can bring that to the floor, and then you can find out exactly how strong the lobby is for the blue and white. Good luck with that. Okay. So, BB, peace through strength. Right. First comes strength, and then comes peace. Wow, look at this happy guy. Want to throw somebody out of office? Start with him. For real, man. I mean, come on. This guy. You know, why did they have to start it? Why couldn't we just have gone in there and said, okay, you're in violation of whatever we're trying to negotiate. Boom. They get these guys involved, and it becomes a religious conflagration. It also, the optics are horrible. It looks like they own us. I mean, they do, but now everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. Anyway. So even the middle of the road influencers like Steve Bannon and Alex Jones are all calling for World War III, which of course could happen, right? Everybody could jump in. This could be a total mess. Okay. Well, we said it was going to be a total mess last week when everyone was blowing it off. Now it's kind of a mess. And now everyone thinks it's the end of the world. And my question is, what happens if it's not? The Cuban Missile Crisis was 12 or 13 days of epic fear. Everyone thought it was over. They were teaching school children to hide underneath their desk as if that was going to help them from a nuke. It was crazy. Okay, the 86-year-old Supreme Leader says America should expect greater damage. And all the guys around them are like, please don't. Please don't. Please. Right? The second he launches on us, he loses power. Right? They take power away from him. They do a coup. They say, stop shooting at us, and that's it. He shoots at us. He loses power 5 minutes later. Which is why, if crypto is a mess and they smack Bitcoin or whatever at the max fear point, there could be something, just like the Cuban Missile Crisis, where it changes. Right? That could be one of the things that changes. They take this guy out. They send him to a retirement home with all the stuff that the Chinese sent, right? Chinese sent to retirement home. UN inspector calls emergency meeting. Do you really have to have an emergency meeting if you have a Chernobyl? I don't think so, right? I'm sure they're going to go look at it. I'm sure it's not pretty. In a 24-hour news cycle, we'd know about it already. Chinese TV. If Bitcoin succeeds, we're all going to die. Okay. Again, Iran has got all of China's oil. So if we want China to not have any oil, we either need to sell it to them or we need to calm down. because, why would you want to start with them? You wouldn't. Not in front of July 4th. You know what I'm saying? Like, not when people are talking about impeaching you. Gas goes to $10. People can change their mind at that point. It can't happen. It could, but it can't. Okay, so Peter Schiff says he gets Bitcoin. Shut up. I hate that. It's like a Coinbase commercial. But I love USD backed. He doesn't like stable coins, neither do I. That trade's over. It's got to move to layer ones. I said this last week. They're selling they can't stop selling ETH. Oh my God, Circle does a 5X and we're selling ETH at 2,200. And the ETH ETF. Crazy. He wants a gold-backed token. Okay, dude. Well, good luck paying the storage fees on that. Gold is still a good idea. Okay, so they didn't like it at 30. They weren't that interested when BlackRock was buying 20% of the IPO. But at $200 a share, it is a much better buy because it can go to $235. Okay, excellent. You know what? Like Circle goes parabolic. Everybody buys, and then they drop the whole thing. Okay, and then if they drop the whole thing, you rotate into Galaxy Digital, right? Which is another IPO that no one paid attention to, who's probably fully hedged for this. They're going to pull the hedges off at the max fear point, and then that stock probably is going to go straight up along with the rest of the market. And we anticipate some sort of Gann turn somewhere around the solstice. Naturally, you should be checking Patreon Premium and the whole host of reports there for the latest. And I'm going to be getting more stuff in there. So we're going to be refreshing everything. A YouTube member area podcast. Okay, what do we got on Doomberg? Iran reserves all options. Of course they do. What kind of headline is that? Right. Trump makes a dramatic about face. What are bunker busting bombs? I don't know, but they're not tactical nukes. And there was no radiation leakage. Okay. Oil surge. Okay. Satellite images reveal destroying the complete reactor complex may be more complicated. So they dropped 6 bombs, they declared victory and leave, and the stuff's probably all still there with the entrances and exits buried. Again, I mean, it's not funny. It's serious. People are scared and they're upset. I get it. But what if it's just theater? Like the Cuban Missile Crisis was not theater because they had nukes in Cuba. There's no nukes in Cuba. Now, you do have to watch out for the false flag. Get cash out of the machine. Check your crypto. You know what I'm saying. But fade Doomberg. Everyone's focused on fear. Somebody bought $30 million worth of ETH. Again, huge stablecoin trade. Circle 5Xs. Sell ETH. Sell XRP. Sell Solana. Sell everything. What are we doing? Now, I know what we're doing. We're following the geopolitical fear. But seriously, somebody is like, oh my God, you want to sell me ETH at 2,200? Fine. Fine. Okay, so now everyone's got the ETH chart out. Everyone's like, here's the range, and it's in the range, and it's going to leave the range. And when everyone thinks it's going to leave the range, it never leaves the range. It never leaves the range. And even if it does, it goes through the bottom of the range, and then it comes back and blows through the top. This is going to be probably the biggest stop fishing exercise in crypto since the yen carry trade debacle 2 years ago. And you're like, I don't remember what that was. And my point is exactly. Okay. Exactly. Liquidation Wave. 175,000 gamblers, $700 million pulled off the table by our frenemies at Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, laughing all the way to the bank as they hoover up everything that it's eventually sold to Michael Saylor. I mean, it's like they're going to do that trade until people get it, right? Yeah, you're doing massive leverage in the middle of a geopolitical mess. You got to be kidding me. You need to be in the platinum area reading about the possibility of 99K Bitcoin and the Cuban Missile Crisis. You let the crisis go, and then you get levered long. Silly goose. Okay, again, with these formations that people draw in ETH, you know, sometimes you break through the bottom and then you come in and that's the propellant to go up. That's all. So whatever line people happen to draw, okay, it'll break the line. We'll just fish for all the stops, get everybody out. Everyone will lose their mind, right? There's be a rumor about the Strait of Hormuz. Oil will go up $20. You know, everyone will lose their mind. Like, I think as soon as if oil goes parabolic and does this huge push to 100, that will create the fear that creates the bottom in crypto. Because oil will not stay at 100. I don't think, unless it's insane, right? I'm looking for the bottom. Like, obviously, I don't know what's going to happen with futures tomorrow. There's a fluid geopolitical situation. All I'm saying is when you would get oil, because I did a video on this. I did a video that like 400 people watched, right? So if you want to watch a video about the history of oil and oil run-ups, it's right here. The shocking truth about oil price jumps, Wall Street war stories. Check the video out, man. We are ahead of the market. ETH is like you got married and then your wife puts on 300 pounds. That makes me want to buy ETH. It really does. Bitcoin CME gaps are at 97 and 92. Okay. You can't rule out 93. You can't if it's a mess. And that would be oil and stonks, right? You just can't. Michael Saylor buys at 101, and then market makers go looking for more stops. I think what I want to say about Bitcoin is don't get too giddy about relative outperformance because stonks are a risk to the world economy. Like what happened on tariffs could be kid stuff if oil goes to 90 or 100 and sticks, right? And the Chinese start getting mad. Okay. All of this AI related FOMO. I'll pay $32 billion for 8 guys in your computers, $20 billion for data centers next to nuclear reactor, $100 million bonuses for scientists. Come on, please. That could be a top. That's crazy over there. That is crypto's biggest problem. That's why they're running scared today. When you know that Citibank is on the list of top Bitcoin holders. How about that? Bitcoin's going to become a part of regular currency trading. Citibank is, or back in my day, was the biggest currency desk in New York by far. So walk by the building and be like, oh God, there's the competition. Better get ready. Better eat your Wheaties. Okay. You know, we used to talk to these guys directly when we would trade, right? You would trade on the phone with your counterparties. All of a sudden, banks are interested in Bitcoin. Next, they're going to be interested in DeFi, and no one's doing a trade. Everyone's doing Circle. That's not the trade. The first trade is always wrong. Anybody who watches the show knows this. The first trade is always wrong. The first trade was Circle. Excellent. Great. Now, what about every layer one on the planet? What if every layer one has a real stable coin running on it? And it just says nothing about XRP. It's just nothing. It's incredible. Okay, so rest in peace, alt season. Bitcoin dominance just made a new cycle high. Again, like I said, Bitcoin dominance goes to whatever, fill in the blank. And they're selling every layer one that's going to run a stable coin. Stable coins going to $4 trillion. And they float through the air by themselves? What? And they're not going to need an interest rate, right? There's no protocols. What are you going to do? Drop your stable coin in Citibank and get an interest rate? How does that work? They don't have DeFi set up yet. They have nothing of the sort. That's all in the decentralized world. These banks are going to be buying the governance tokens. It's going to be like a takeover. That could be the mergers and acquisition boom. Citibank goes, wow, you mean we can buy the governance token of this and control it? That can't happen though, right? Okay, so yeah, a $700 million donation to Binance. Now, on a lighter note, for your halftime entertainment, the world is about to find out how smart Tobie Ward really is, because she got a little help from a friend, seriously, just a little, and she made a cyberpunk crypto bro versus hedge fund with 3 legit female heroes. Like not the BS stuff you see on Netflix, real heroes. Kind of like the crypto version of Star Wars, with this being episode 1. I've read the book. I'm on my second read. You're going to like it, right? You got influencers and yippity yap. We got research and books. Hello. Good luck finding a crypto fiction book at Barnes & Noble. Me and the Eagle King went to like 4 places. It doesn't exist until now. Okay, back to our show. So XO, pretty smart trader. I've actually talked to the guy. Yeah, this is what he thinks. I'm like, whoa. And you know what? I went looking for evidence that this could actually be true. And unfortunately, I found some. So again, Cuban Missile Crisis, max fear, right? Solana could puke out here, and this could be max fear. I don't know. He's looking at 120 something. You know, if 120 is the support, you could run stops. They're going to get everybody. They're going to get the leverage players. They're going to get spot people. They're going to get the ETF guys. Saylor will buy at 101, and then we'll take everyone's stops and cover. That's how it's going to go. Meanwhile, again, you're going to run every stable coin on the world on everything that everyone is selling. Okay, another reason to not celebrate the relative outperformance of Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin is Bitcoin. I get it. You get it. Everyone gets it. But when we say there's no top, that was last week. So there's no top. Then we revised the target to 21 million. Okay, right. All right. So when things like that happen, you can have a little smackadoodle, you know, just poof. They can go stop fishing. They can. Now, of course, if Bitcoin just sits there while everything else gets hysterical, this thing did decouple before. You had a decoupling on tariffs where Bitcoin actually started going up as the stock market was heaving. I can't tell you that's not going to happen. All I know is when they fill Michael Saylor's orders, they have an incentive to drop the market. That's all I'm saying. So people are wrecked. They need some context on the price action. They need some context on the whole geopolitical thing that is beyond what you're getting. It's like, you know, it's like impeachment, World War III, and then you have to think in the middle. You have to think in the middle. Because if you don't think in the middle, when the max fear point goes, you'll be on the max fear trade. And the max fear trade is about controlling you. That's BlackRock, right? You stand down there and take everything. They probably already started with this anonymous new wallet buying, you know, whatever, $17, $20 million worth of ETH. Nothing stops this orange. Again, you want to notice heavy orange dots, and then boom, they dropped it on Orange Man tariffs. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen again. I kind of hope not, because that's a little bit too much carnage for me. But market makers will fill him and then drop the market. How much they can drop it, I don't know. I don't know. And one day that's not going to work. And I have no idea why everybody is buying Circle and not MicroStrategy, because I'll tell you right now, if they drop this market and Bitcoin and MicroStrategy don't go down, if it's supposed to go down and it doesn't, what's it going to do? Right? The next hedge fund pickle could be Magnificent Seven and short MicroStrategy. Because if Bitcoin goes down and comes back, or if Bitcoin never goes down, they're going to get squeezed out of that. And we talked about last week, there is a bank problem out there somewhere. So you have a crazy move in oil, silver, gold, crypto, somebody might blow up. Like, this is what you have to be careful of, which is why, and this is why I'm doing Cuban Missile Crisis level fear, is that if that got scary enough, the Fed comes in right away. Fed's doing QE. They cut rates on the fly. They'll cut it in July again. Like, if it's a total disaster, the Fed, who obviously knew about this in advance, everybody knew about this in advance. Tucker knew, he told you. They briefed Alex Jones and Steve Bannon at the White House. They were trying to tell you that it was the other way around. You know, the Orange Man's like, yeah, welcome to the World Wrestling Federation, where the whole fight is scripted. It's scripted. It was pre-programmed. You got told that by George Friedman from Geopolitical Futures. Those guys are trying to make it. I don't have them up now, but I will. They're always asking people to extend their subscription. You know what? They're just like me. It's like one guy in a room with, you know, two compatriots doing Zoom calls trying to predict the world. He used the word pre-programmed. Now, what he also said is Putin's response after the Ukrainians dinged him is not pre-programmed. So wouldn't it be funny if the problem here wasn't the Iranians, if Putin took advantage of it and did something scary? Now, again, back to the Cuban Missile Crisis. It could wind up being the Russians. It could be a Russian response in East Germany that East Germany, oh my God, in Eastern Europe that freaks everybody out, right? In other words, oh, okay, you think you can drop a big bomb? Well, okay, that's max fear. Now, oh, how nice, right? Everything's at 61. Everything's fine. We're in denial. It's not going to happen. We'll do it in 2 weeks. Boom, 42. And we get Cuban Missile Crisis level fear, it could be boom, 28. Especially if Michael Saylor gets filled and the market makers drop it. Right? Now, remember, you had options expiration on Friday. So everybody's got a clean slate. Right? All the hedges, all the protection, all of that stuff, that all came off on Friday. Options work on timing. So if you had a bearish bet, if you didn't make a new one, yours expired Friday, which counts for that famous Wall Street saying, hedges are something that little doggies pee on. People never get the hedges right. So if everybody is forced to panic hedge on Monday because of oil or whatever, or UBS, again, we are looking for max fear. That's what we want, because max fear turns into, oh, wait a minute, sovereigns are imbeciles. I want Bitcoin. Oh my God, we're going to have $4 trillion in stable coins. Don't stable coins run on layer ones? Hey, do we have AI in DeFi? Matter of fact, is AI is running in DeFi. Where is AI profitable in the world? I mean, it helps me, obviously, right? I make thumbnails and, you know, I do GAN models and do stuff that, you know, I'd have to do next lifetime. But let me ask you something. Quick question. How much is Microsoft making on AI? Is that profitable? Guys shelling out billions, 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 billions. Why? Well, massive FOMO. Winner take all. There's always an excuse to get wild in tech, just like 2000. Got a video on that too, by the way. Might want to check that out. That's right next to the oil video. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. I get it. You know, I'm not Mr. Entertainment. I did this at the gym, but I do have oil and the .com blow up next to each other. You might want to check it out. You might. Okay. So we went from $595 million to 700 because they just can't stop gambling. Early XRP buyers exit. This is unbelievable. Circle worth upwards of $50 billion. If Circle is worth 50 billion, XRP is worth 100 because you have a rabid community and a medium of exchange for a metaverse, for e-commerce. Okay, yes, XRP is a volatile currency, but they have Galaxy Digital to help you manage volatility, right? I mean, if you miss Bitcoin and you haven't done stable coins, or you think that nobody's going to want Amazon coin, I cannot believe that XRP or Ripple is not going to IPO or just flat out get bought. Flat out get bought. They're foaming into everything except money. Crazy. Absolutely nuts. And they're selling it at $2. They can't stop selling it into an intraday discount zone. We'll go over that. It's crazy banana pants. Peter Schiff. Okay, we're not listening to him. No, we got that. Okay. Right. We have Circle. Right. $235 price target. It's up 500%, and I love it. Wyoming debuts its own stable coin. You know what? Once upon a time in America, when they had a gold rush, every town and every city had its own fiat. Okay. They had their own fiat, right? You deposit your gold or whatever you had, and you would get Wyoming money or Utah money. Okay. And of course, you had to pray that, gold didn't collapse or there wasn't a problem with the bank, so your money didn't disappear. Okay. So the point is, there is an American precedent for every state to have their own money. Tex Metals in Shiner, Texas, they sell their own silver and gold coins that have Texas designs on them. It's way cheaper than buying, the fancy stuff from either, from federal governments or foreign mints. Tex Metals. States can have their own money. Why not? Especially if it's a US dollar stablecoin, right? Like, people might use it and they might get value somehow out of having people on their network. Not to mention the fact that even though it's the dollar, they would have it on hand. And it's an issue of state pride, and it makes it easier to get into Bitcoin, right? Strategic Bitcoin reserve is happening. The orange man will have to pivot, and the states, before they buy Bitcoin, they'll have a stable coin, most likely. Makes it easier for them to get in. And the thing that's amazing is we're all selling the thing that everyone's going to buy. Okay, NFTs will be back. They're already back. They're back, right? Coupons, gift certificates, pudgy penguins. It's all coming back. It's all on ETH. Spooky similar to 2017, according to Raoul Pal. Wouldn't you know, particular analyst that writes cool cyberpunk books that you've never seen before that blows your mind, 3 chapters in, is also talking about a particular year. Want to know the history of that year and how it's going to play out? Well, that's what the YouTube member podcast is for. When the person who can see the future talks to the analyst and we help you out. Want to know what the biggest month was in 2017? Want to know when the big GAN trigger date is for alt season and Bitcoin? Oh, we would love to help you out. Kathy Wood dumps ARK, dumps Circle. So this lady sold NVIDIA too early, and she bought the top of the last tech cycle. So not exactly your ace trader, but, the price earnings ratio of Tesla, which she loves, is 180. The current price earnings ratio of Circle is 1,750. So exit that. Thank you very much. There will be tons of crypto IPOs. Ripple is going to be huge. We'll have Kraken, we'll have Chainalysis, we'll have Gemini. Okay, right, whatever. The venture capital firms might go public. Tron is going public. Thanks to the orange man. Okay, Ripple is going to be huge. These layer ones and the stable coin story, because wait till everybody goes, wait, Ripple has a stable coin and USDC decided to run on Ripple, decided to run on XRP Ledger rather than build their own layer one. Everybody just blew that off. So they're selling Circle, fine. But what is she buying? What is she buying? The big trade is what they can't buy, right? What goes up? What you don't understand, right? What you can't buy, right? What you don't understand, you can't buy, and it's like it's brand new, right? What you don't understand and you can't buy. The biggest trade is XRP. And the only way to trade Ripple is with privately held stock that most people do not know how to get access to. CoinMarketCap has identified their malicious software. Don't click on anything. Don't click on anything. Go to Walmart and buy a computer that's completely blank to access your crypto. Don't click on anything. Nothing. Like, we don't even have, Tobie's book is not even out yet because no one's going to click on anything. But we will be teasing that on my Twitter repeatedly, and undoubtedly you will hear it from me so much. Your FOMO into the market and the book will be stunning. It's that good. History suggests 330,000. Crypto ETF odds hit 90%. Okay, so again, when the Cuban Missile Crisis Part 2 is over, what are they going to do? They're going to feed you so much crypto. They're going to go crypto crazy, because the orange man is going to have to do MAGA damage control, and everybody in crypto doesn't care about politics. He does what he loves. Tobie has told you this. This is his modus operandi. No one loves him like the crypto people do when he's mooning their bags, which is exactly what they're going to go back to, right? Which is exactly why Howard Lutnick is long Bitcoin, which is, even though, he gets on a tape and demonstrates the need for his own bag by tweeting stuff that's just, the word that comes to mind is unintelligent. Okay. Unintelligent. They're mooning. Why do you think the kids are just getting long like crazy? Okay, so here we go. Breaking news from the Eagle King. 14 Gigano bombs dropped by B-2 bombers. 24 Tomahawk missiles from a submarine. Okay, so unless we got a Chernobyl-style problem, it's a circus. It's pre-programmed. Now, if we do have Chernobyl, then okay, then oil goes to 100 and we have a complete mess. And we'll do the market update and all the relevant charts, which are coming up right now. Okay. After I tell you that, at 2,900, ETH was a great buy, but at 2,200, I have to get out. Crazy. Okay. XRP, again, it's 89-minute chart. Okay, here we go. Here comes Max Fear. Iranian parliament officially approves the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Cuban Missile Crisis. Max Fear. Max Fear. Right? Jam that oil opening. Makes sense, right? Putin did the first part of his war with a Bloomberg on his desk every Sunday night. They're going to do the same thing. They are going to do exactly the same thing. They got XRP below $2. Look at that. Okay. Galaxy Digital daily. Okay. Probably going to look something like this, I would guess. Because we're going to be doing a lot of live TA today. So you don't want to go anywhere. By the way, you do want to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, because I don't know who's going to cover this out here, but not your average YouTuber. Hell no. You want to do the Cuban Missile Crisis? You're going to do it right here. I don't know. Maybe it's there. Maybe it's the 200-day moving average. Wait until they get hysterical. Look at the way they sold this IPO off the tariffs. Oh my God, they crushed it. And we're like shooting at some really tough people, by the way. When I was a kid, let's go to oil while I'm telling this story. I didn't put this in Wall Street War Stories. I should have, but maybe I'll just have to make another video for everyone to not watch. Ha! I didn't know the difference. I didn't know anything about political parties. So the Iranians embargoed oil in the 70s. I'm sitting in a green Chevy station wagon with like plastic vinyl seats in February. And the plastic vinyl seats, I'm in third grade, had no give because we're in line for gas in the winter. So no heat in the car. And I'm like, Mom, why are we doing this? And she gave some sort of explanation about, you know, whatever the Iranians were doing. And I remember thinking to myself, well, that's bullshit. You got to be kidding me. You know, are you serious? Right? Then for good measure, because remember, no phone, no internet, we didn't have cable. You would sit and watch a guy named Walter Cronkite tell you every day for 444 days. Today, they took our hostages at the embassy, right? You know, CIA coup's gone wrong, whatever. Some guy gets deposed. The current characters come in. They take everybody in our embassy. They put hoods on their head, and they keep them for 444 days because there were no special operations, no special ops. So every day you hear Walter Cronkite. Today is the 238th, the 410th day of the hostage crisis. And the peanut farmer who was in office at the time tried to send a makeshift special ops army team, something like that. And the helicopters all crashed. They crashed. So he tried to save them. This was like way late in the game. You know, some of those guys didn't brush their teeth for 444 days. So I understand why, you know, these guys, they don't want them to have a nuclear weapon, by the way, giving, you know, the blue and white a hard time here. You know, those characters, they're not nice. They're not nice. They're tough people, and they're nasty, and they don't like us. They don't like anybody except their own kind. Okay. They gave us a hard time in Iraq. So don't have any illusions about them, right? Don't. But they're going to figure out that they can fight on Bloomberg. It's already started, right? I should have known. Okay. Oil, crude, you know, was on support, right? Premium zone on a daily chart is at 80. Premium zone in Brent, which is oil deliverable in London, is at 81 on a daily chart. I've never seen anything go through the premium zone on a daily chart. Never. Even Bitcoin. That said, in Brent for delivery in London, the premium zone on a weekly chart is at 92. Brent is the world standard for oil. We look at, you know, Americans have their own thing that they look at on everything. Brent is the thing. So again, Brent is hanging out here at equilibrium. Nobody thought this would happen. Nobody thought they had to buy it, not realizing that it was pre-programmed starting with Elon. Okay. So again, MicroStrategy, right? They're going to ram MicroStrategy right into support. You know what? They're not only going to ram that right into support, but they're going to ram total crypto market cap into support, which, you know, I haven't checked. Hopefully it's still support. We'll look at it. Okay. So yeah, total crypto market cap. Okay. No, the support's not there anymore. All right. Unless I clicked off of it. But again, equilibrium zone and the 200-day moving average are most certainly there. Look at total 2. ETH and friends down 3%. What a stop fishing exercise this is, right? Everybody, including me, thought this was bird on a wire getting ready to fly. And we underestimated pre-programmed events, right? We got smoked. And they're going for max fear now, right? As we speak, like ETH down 5%. Remember, you know, if you want to know, you know, like again, hey, yo, Patreon Platinum. Tobie did her thing, did her predictive thing on oil. I remember seeing that. I'm like, oh no. Right? That's when Cuban Missile Crisis came out. That's when 99K Bitcoin came out. You know, we do know what we're doing here. We're not broadcasting from a yacht yet, but that Gann model, the single coin research, we're going to get that right. Sorry. I accidentally clicked on small cap US stocks with everybody FOMOing into resistance. Whoops. That is probably not going to turn out good. Nope, 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 nope. Not at all. I have been absolutely going off here. I forgot what I was looking for. I think Steve J the other day wanted DeFi Perp, 3-day chart. I missed it. Whew. Banks coming into DeFi. God. Right. Just wrecking it. That's a 3-day chart. I think the only thing about this that interests me is that support level. Again, we're looking for max fear. Max fear. And Sunday night is a great night for max fear because they're going to pressure you via Bloomberg. Right? And I have seen this kind of stuff before where you have it. Oh, I know what I wanted to look at. I'm sorry. What time did we start? We started what? 7:30 Central? Okay. So I'm still doing okay on time. Okay. Yeah. What I wanted to show you in Bitcoin. No, actually, let's do it in ETH because that's when ETH totally went to like 0 or went down 25%. Okay. So this is your yen carry trade. Remember that? Remember when people would get upset about the value of the yen? Okay. I know. That can be upsetting. Legacy does not like that. Okay. So just as a reminder, this is what ETH was capable of doing during an oopsie daisy with the yen. And hopefully that doesn't happen in ETH again, but you can have these 25% down days, right? You can have 25% down days. You can lose your mind. They could lose their mind. They could just lose it, right? Like, you know, normies who are buying crypto, thinking that crypto is the new thing, which of course it is, naturally they have to stop everybody out before they take it up. Everybody. And again, we may not be at max fear. Like, for example, saying that they're going to close the Strait of Hormuz is a little bit different because the oil's probably going to go out anyway, just like with the Russians. Oh, it's sanctions, and we're not going to let you ship oil, blah, 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 and the oil got out anyway. They sold all the oil that they could sell. Nobody stopped buying it again. Max fear. They shoot at an aircraft carrier. Okay. Maybe that's a little different. Anything other than that in Chernobyl, especially on a Sunday night, right? You want to get this thing where people are losing their mind on something that doesn't happen, like the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like, people thought that we were going to attack the missile launchers in Cuba and that they would turn around and launch the nukes. Like, the nukes were loaded in the chamber, 90 miles off the coast of Florida. So they had nukes pointed at us, and we were going to conventionally try to take out the nukes. And everybody thought that that was going to be missiles passing each other in the sky. It was close. RFKJ's dad bailed us out at the end. So if they can do it then, you should see, again, we cover it. But yeah, if this is what we can do on the yen, right. You also have to be careful of failed rallies because, you know, one thing that happens, and again, you have to be kind of careful of like market, you know, like the algos sucking you in. Like, I'm watching this thing at like 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm like, wow, you know, London Open, 9 a.m. They're coming in going, okay, it's over. It probably is. But like, okay, yeah, let's buy the dip, man. I just looked amazing this morning. Aero was up 8%. Let's look at the intraday chart of it. Aero was up 8% this morning. Like, whoa, I love it. Now they hate it. Right? But everything is coming into the discount zone on the intraday charts, and we'll see if that's worth anything. Right? You know, ETH deep in the discount zone on the 89-minute chart. And I haven't even gotten to DeMark yet, which we should also do. And then when I'm done with that, then I'll really tell you where max fear is going to come from. Okay. Okay, so here's ETH, right? That's a 9 bottom on a daily chart, by the way. Okay. So ETH gliding into the 50% retracement. Okay. And, this could take, if there was a reversal 3 days from now, that would be very constructive, right? But they may run the stop. 62% retracement is 1958. We're going stop fishing. $700 million liquidated on one day. Everybody is going to get liquidated. Who knows? They might do 2 billion. And when they do 2 billion, who's going to be long crypto? Nobody. Right before Besant puts $4 trillion on layer ones. And Michael Saylor buys the dip, and Citibank buys the dip, and Wyoming buys the dip, and the entire planet buys the dip. Because sovereigns are imbeciles. Okay, Solana, right? You got at least 12 more hours of this. Ouch, right? Solana pushing on support, 129. 2 or 3 more days to a 13 bottom, 113 below the market. Whoa. Right? What's max fear? And of course, oh my God, I hate it when this is right. Bitcoin Cash moons, Litecoin moons, Zcash moons, market gets dropped. Hate it because I love this stuff. Oh, they killed it. They killed the market. They just killed it all, right? They just moon this indiscriminately and the whole market gets dropped. Hate it. Okay. And don't forget to stay tuned for PowerPoint. It's tough to find DeMark support. It's easy to find it on LuxAlgo. It's kind of tough to find it on DeMark. I don't see, this like 83. Can't even imagine that. I mean, I'm talking about max fear, but I'm not talking about 83. That's crazy. By the way, the guys who FOMO'd into Circle at 235, they're going to have a really bad day tomorrow. Okay. Because you got a gap here at 144. You also have a gap here at 89. I have no idea why people are paying this kind of money for this stock when this is not the trade, but the first trade is always wrong. So I'm trying to give you the levels in case everyone gets hysterical. Got to go back to Bitcoin here. Hopefully you guys like TA. If you like live TA, smash the follow button. Drop a like, comment, Okay, so look at this. By the way, I'm kind of giving it away. Gave this to Patreon Platinum, by the way. And the 6th Street Crypto middle tier also got this. Look what we have. We have a Gann line at 100. What do you know? Gann line at 100. And they might run stops. So if they do run stops, the 200-day moving average is at 93. And considering the whole rest of the market is below the 200-day moving average, don't celebrate relative outperformance. Okay? Don't get giddy. Don't put a lampshade on your head. Don't get crazy if you're short. Because this turns into a debacle. The Fed told you on Friday, they're going to come in. They're going to come in with QE, high-powered money. They're going to cut rates. They're not going to let this turn into a calamity. They can't. Otherwise, the whole institution will go down. They were talking about getting rid of, this is funny. They were talking about getting rid of the Fed on Friday. Now they're going to be like, oh God, please help us. Watch. Okay. Again, so insanely bullish crypto. All of these narratives, the orange man making political amends, the stable coins on layer ones, right? You know, who's left to sell Bitcoin? The Iranians are not selling Bitcoin. They've been hacked into insensibility. They're not moving anything. They're not moving anything. So that supply is off the market. And the Chinese may stop selling too. They may stop selling. They may look at this and be like, oh, yeah, the dollar down trade. You remember that? Does anybody remember that? The dollar down trade? And of course, we can't forget that, you know, 3 aircraft carriers and the stealth bomber and all that stuff. Yeah, that's not free, right? Now, there could be a flight into treasuries. People might freak out and be like, oh, God, I want to buy bonds. Then again, maybe not. I gave Kyle Bass a hard time. Like, you want this, you must be short government bonds. He said no. And then everybody in the comments is like, no, dude, it's the opposite, as if I don't know, as if I haven't watched the bond market, right? I was in the bond market when you were in diapers. However, again, unintended consequences. Remember that? Put that in ChatGPT. Tell me about unintended consequences in economics. So if we have a problem with government bonds, we see the Fed. If we have a problem with the dollar, we could see the Fed, although I think they want that to go lower. Definitely if we have a problem with stonks, and I have to get the stonk tweet. Oh, God, here's the stonk tweet. My guy, DC, top 5 smartest guys in the whole world, puts this down perfectly. Perfectly. This is on June 18th, by the way. Microsoft planning on more job cuts aimed at salespeople. Microsoft is trading 39 times profits and 13 times sales. That's quite expensive for in stock language. $3.6 trillion market cap for that sludge. Or 16 times the economy of Greece and 1.5 times the totality of German, the entire German stock market. Microsoft CEO admits AI is generating basically no value. So billions for data centers, billions to win some future race to build Skynet. The Magnificent Seven. OpenAI starts selling ChatGPT at a discount, hurting Microsoft. OpenAI is looking for billions of dollars every 6 months. Let's have a laugh and look at Microsoft stock. Just in case you think you're upset about your crypto bags. Oh, wow, look at that. Hot diggity dog. Let's buy Microsoft at the premium zone. Look at the FOMO. Look at the FOMO into that. Now, they got a lot of support underneath the market, but again, oh, look at this. Wow, is this a giant gap? Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. We're going to see the Fed. If you see that gap, we will see the Fed. Now, I have no idea what happens to crypto in the meantime. Hopefully, it's not some crazy banana pants thing, but we are freaking out. Crypto is freaking out today because, you know, stonks are going to have a problem, especially if the Iranians are trading with a Bloomberg. Okay. So I have no idea how long I've been on the air. Okay, Ron, a member, is getting long. 5 Wade invalidator. T-Bone is here. Yeah, by the way, all these ETFs are guaranteed. They have to do these ETFs now. They're all happening. They're all happening, right? Bitcoin falls under 101, okay? Bitcoin at 100K. What's going on in ETH? Hedging. Panic hedging. Remember all the options that came off over the weekend and everyone's trying to buy the Ethereum ETF and BlackRock's been buying Ethereum? Well, when it goes down, these guys hedge. And all the options came off and the orange man told them he had 2 weeks and they had 2 days, right? The hedge funds knew about it. Not everyone else did. Not everyone else did. Okay. ETH 2100, great buying opportunity. Mojo is here. Tesla-Roo, Baby Whale, some familiar names. Ocho is here. Welcome, sir. Pure-blooded Iller, welcome. Right. Tesla-Roo, thank you, sir. Thank you for watching. Daniel J. at the Jersey Shore, what's up? Gavin, Farmer Sam Forrest, Stu Lavelle. Are you not entertained? Joey V, what's up? Okay, people, listen up. Listen up. Tobie did some work, and we knew this was coming. We knew something was going to happen, the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? So we tried to get everything tactical. We had, the Boston Tea Party. We got all kinds of stuff about day trading, all right? And again, 99K with GAN work and Cuban Missile Crisis. We're looking for the peak of fear. Ready? Before alt season starts. Because in 2021, alt season started with layer ones. They ended it with NFT and metaverse insanity, but it started with the layer ones. Okay? Do you think XRP can get back to $2.30 and $2.50? Dude, the Patreon Platinum area has the first report is an insane XRP price target. And no one believed me, and I understand that. Until Circle went up 500%. Circle, USDC, a CBDC. Like Microsoft, 39 times sales. Ooh, short it. Circle, price earnings ratio, 1,750. It's a stable coin, right? I mean, I know Tether is making more money than BlackRock. I understand that. I get it. I get why they were all FOMOing into that, but the first trade is always wrong. So, yeah. And I'd be on the air 75 minutes. Okay, yeah, the Eagle King, he's got to get hydrated after 75 minutes. So we are wrapping it up right here. Okay. We will conclude with some breaking news. Okay, here we go. By the way, we're going to have this. So, Governor Newsom urges vigilance in California. Okay. The Republicans, right move, sends a message. Democrats, unconstitutional. Now, as a final note, like I said, groceries, water, gas. Everyone on the left has so many things to protest, they can't figure it out. There's so many things, literally, on their agenda. Fair enough. I mean, there's a lot of things that they're upset about. Now they're only upset about one thing. One. Okay. The dollar, treasuries, max fear. Do you realize at the bottom in 2022, do you realize the tariff bottom, fear, greed, and equities was 0 over tariffs? 0. Max fear is coming. Be ready for max fear. If you got cash, great. If you don't got cash, psychologically know max fear is coming. And max fear, it's always darkest before the dawn. So when you think it's the end of the world, somehow I hope it won't be. For the sake of my Cuban Missile Crisis analogy and all of our bags, we will see you tomorrow, possibly tonight if it's a mess. But we will see you soon.